This workshop is called Is It Really Abuse? And most of you probably know who I am, but if you don't, my name is Natalie Hoffman. I'm an author, I'm a professional coach, a teacher, and I host the popular Flying Free podcast. It has over 320 episodes now and almost 3 million downloads, probably over 3 million by now. The last time I checked was a few months ago. So I work with hundreds of Christian women in a private gated online community, like I just mentioned, Flying Free. This particular picture was taken 2 years ago at our butterfly boot camp here in Minneapolis. This is the Mall of America. Can you see the roller coaster in the background? One of the questions that comes up almost every single day in our forum from someone is, am I really being abused? Why do you think that we as Christian women are wondering about this? Even after we know that we've been married for decades and have felt confused and in tremendous emotional pain, trapped, ashamed, and afraid to be ourselves in our relationship. I believe that it's because deep inside of us lives a little me who still believes that she is with the man she dreamed of being with since she was a small child, a man who loves her and wants what is best for her, a man who sees her, respects her, and appreciates all the things she works so hard to do to make his life meaningful and more beautiful. This little part of us is very young and does not know what our adult self knows. Children are skilled at denial and magical thinking, and our little me is a child. But because many of us are not even aware that she exists, we push her away. We stuff her in the back corners of our psyches, and we don't understand that now she is controlling our lives with her programming instead of us controlling our lives from our adult perspective and our adult capability and our true inner knowing. If you've ever had the thought or the feeling that you are still a child, I can relate to that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, the fascinating thing is that Christian culture actually programs us to do this, to remain in this childlike state, to want and need a big grown-up person to take authority over our lives, to not pay attention to all the parts of us inside who need our love and support. We are programmed by our religious culture to believe that this is selfish and unsubmissive. And so because we ignore these important and critical parts of ourselves, we remain stuck. Have you ever thought, I know what I should do or what I want to do, but I just can't seem to do it. Part of me doesn't want to, but another part of me does want to. And then another part of me is terrified to move into anything new or do anything that will change my life or be risky. This is the example of the inner struggle that these different parts of us have. And I wrote a book called All the Scary Little Gods that demonstrates exactly what this is like. But tonight we're going to talk about how to know if you are in an abusive relationship. And if you want to learn more about this, I recommend that you get my first book, Is It Me? Making Sense of Your Confusing Marriage, a Christian woman's guide to hidden emotional and spiritual abuse. Now, that book is going to go into a lot more detail about what I'm going to share with you tonight. And then the workbook that goes with it will help you process your own personal relationship with you in your marriage through the grid of the concepts that I teach in that book. Now, some of you, like I said, you're already in my program, Flying Free, so you already have access to the course Dealing with a Dysfunctional Relationship, and that course also goes into much more depth than what we're going to be able to cover in a half-an-hour session tonight. So if at the end of our session you want more, I just want you to know that there is so much more that you can access and learn from. It might take more than a half an hour, by the way. So let me guess. You're here because there's a tiny voice in your gut whispering something that terrifies you. You know the one. It says, something is not right here. But then almost immediately, another voice, louder, more aggressive, wearing a suit and tie and holding a Bible, shouts back, no, that's just your sin nature. You're too sensitive. You're imagining things. Be grateful, submit, smile, play nice so you don't get criticized or kicked out of the love circle. I call that second voice Gaslight Greg. Gaslight Greg loves to speak in scripture snippets and shame. And his favorite spiritual fruit? Confusion. And not the normal, where did I leave my keys? Confusion. I'm talking about the deep, soul twisting confusion where you start questioning your memories, your motives, and even your own sanity. You want to believe the best. You want to be humble. You want to do the right thing. So you keep second guessing yourself, afraid of making a mistake, afraid of displeasing those in authority over you, afraid of being a pariah in your own church. You know, that rebellious woman who complains about her husband and airs his dirty laundry. And the question bubbles up again. Is it really abuse? Or am I just being too sensitive? Or selfish? Or dramatic? Or insert your favorite insult here. If you are even asking that question, butterflies, it's not because you're imagining things. It's because something in your spirit knows the truth. It's because your body, which is your warning system given to you by God, is telling you something different. So we're going to spend the next few minutes together listening to these warnings, validating that truth, unpacking the real reasons that you're asking that question, and giving you a practical, empowering framework to move forward. This is not just about abuse. This is about truth. This is about clarity. This is about coming home to yourself and to God. You didn't pull this doubt out of thin air. You were trained to question yourself. You were handed a religious cocktail of submission, self-erasure, and spiritualized suffering served in a shiny cup labeled God's will. Now, raise your hand, unless you're holding coffee or a crying baby, if you've heard these gems. A godly woman doesn't complain. Marriage is about dying to self. Have you prayed about it? Forgive and forget. You just need to respect him more. These messages aren't just bad advice. They are spiritual smoke bombs. They create fog so thick that you can't even see where the abuse starts and where your self ends. So let's be clear. Confusion is not hanging on the fruit of the spirit tree. Chronic fear, self-doubt, and relational chaos are not signs that you're being sanctified. They are signs that there is something deeply wrong. And friend, God does not need you to suffer in silence in order to prove your holiness. He is not impressed by your ability to survive mistreatment with a smile. What you're experiencing is a pattern that I've seen thousands of times working with women in confusing marriages. Your husband may seem perfectly normal, even charming to everybody else, but behind closed doors, he puts on a completely different face. You've spent years trying to figure out why nothing you do seems to make a difference. You've read all the books, tried all the strategies, prayed all the prayers. You've poured your heart into making your marriage work, but the harder you try, the more you go nowhere, and the worse things seem to get. And whenever you try to talk about what's happening, you're told it's your problem, your sin, your failure. Well, let me tell you something very important. That is exactly how emotional abuse works. It keeps you confused, second-guessing yourself, and taking responsibility for someone else's behavior. So let's call a thing a thing. Language is one of the first things an abuser steals. They twist words, they redefine love as obedience and respect as silence. So we're going to take it back. Let's define some things. Confusion is not conviction. It's a red flag. Walking on eggshells is not relational wisdom. It's a trauma response. Chronic conflict is not normal marriage stuff. It is dysfunctional. Fear of your spouse is not reverence or respect. It's abuse. Real love says, come as you are. Fake love says, come as I say. So if you're feeling erased, dismissed, blamed, belittled, isolated, or confused, guess what? That's not love. And that's not your fault. When a woman comes to me saying, I don't know if what I'm experiencing is really abuse, I often ask her to describe what happens in her home. And you know what she tells me? She tells me about a husband who criticizes her parenting, her appearance, her housekeeping, her cooking. She tells me about circular conversations that leave her feeling crazy. She tells me about the silent treatment that can last for days. She tells me about being blamed for her husband's anger or poor choices. She tells me about walking on eggshells, trying to keep the peace. She tells me about being told she's too sensitive when she expresses hurt. She tells me about confusion, so much confusion, wondering if she's the crazy one. And when I listen to her story, I hear the unmistakable patterns of emotional abuse, not because I'm looking for them, but because they are there. Your story matters. Your experience matters. And giving clear language to what's happening is the first step toward freedom. Here's a classic tactic. Make the woman feel like the problem is her sensitivity. She gets told, you're too emotional. You're just making a big deal out of nothing. Or the ever popular, you're just trying to control me. Does that sound familiar? Let me translate this for you. You're too emotional means your feelings are too inconvenient for me. You're making a big deal actually means I don't want to be held accountable. You're controlling means you have boundaries and I don't like that. You're not too sensitive. You're just waking up. And sensitivity, that just means your conscience still works, that you haven't been numbed out, that you actually can still feel, which, by the way, is what Jesus did too. He felt things. He wept. He got angry. He flipped tables. Never once did he say, I just need to be less sensitive and more submissive to the Pharisees. I worked with a woman named Sarah who spent 15 years believing she was just too sensitive. Her husband would make cutting remarks about her weight, her intelligence, her parenting. And when she dared to express that she was hurt, he would say, can't you take a joke? Why are you so sensitive? Sarah tried everything. She prayed for thicker skin. She practiced not reacting. She consulted her pastor, who told her to be more gracious. But no matter how hard she tried to be less sensitive, the pain didn't go away. And do you know why? Because the problem wasn't her sensitivity, it was his cruelty. Your sensitivity is not the problem. It's actually a gift, one that helps you recognize that something's wrong. So don't let anyone convince you to ignore that gift. In fact, what is likely happening is much more than sensitivity. It's your body's natural response to prolonged stress. When you live with someone who constantly criticizes, manipulates, gaslights, or controls you, your nervous system stays on high alert. And this can cause anxiety, depression, sleep problems, and even physical symptoms like headaches or digestive issues. This is not you being weak. This is your body telling you that something is really wrong. So let's get practical. When you're in a fog, you need a compass. So here's one I like to use. 3 simple questions. Do I feel safe to be my full self in this relationship? When I express pain or needs, am I heard and respected or blamed and dismissed? Is this relationship mostly marked by peace and connection or fear and confusion? If your answer is no, no, and heck yes to the fear and confusion, then, sweet friend, the problem is not your sensitivity. The problem is that you are living with someone who benefits from you staying confused. And I want to add a bonus question. Would I want my daughter or my best friend to be treated the way I'm being treated? Don't explain that away. Don't soften it, just answer it truthfully. This question alone has brought more women out of denial than any sermon ever did. Now let's go deeper with a few more questions to help you gain some clarity. Does your husband take responsibility for his actions, or does he blame you when things go wrong? Do you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, monitoring your words and actions to avoid setting him off? Have you stopped sharing your thoughts, feelings, or concerns because you know it never ends well? Do you feel worse about yourself now than when you first got married? Has your husband isolated you from friends or family, or does he criticize the people that you're close to? Does he treat you one way in private and completely different in public? Do you ever feel afraid of his reactions? If you answered yes to several of these questions, then what you're experiencing is not normal marriage difficulty. It is a pattern of control and emotional harm. One thing that helped me when I was in my own confusing marriage was keeping a simple journal. Not a journal to document my feelings, but to specifically record actual events and conversations. And when I looked back at those entries weeks or months later, I could see patterns that I couldn't recognize in the moment. So try this. For the next week, write down instances where you feel confused, blamed, or dismissed. Include what happened, what was said, and how you felt afterwards in your body. This is not about building a case against your husband. This is about reconnecting with your own reality. Because here's the truth. Abusers rely on your confusion. They count on you forgetting, minimizing what happened, or blaming yourself for what happened. And your clarity is their greatest threat. That is why I love doing what I do. I love being a threat to this kind of person. Ah, yes. The $1,000,000 question. But what about God? Doesn't he hate divorce? Isn't marriage sacred? Doesn't he call us to suffer? You know what else God hates? He hates violence, hypocrisy, deceit, and oppression. He hates it when people use his name to trap and torment the vulnerable. Jesus didn't die so that you could be stuck in a spiritually sanctioned abusive relationship. He called out abusers of power. He protected the vulnerable. He flipped religious tables. He walked away from toxic people. Jesus is not your abuser's wingman. He's not watching your marriage like a referee counting how many times you get knocked down. He is your advocate, your defender. If your marriage is killing your soul, God isn't asking you to stay. He's already on the floor with you, whispering, "Let's go." I remember sitting across from a pastor after finally gathering the courage to share what was happening in my marriage. I expected compassion. Instead, he quoted Malachi 2:16. God hates divorce, and told me to submit more and pray harder. What he didn't tell me was that same passage speaks against those who cover themselves with violence as with a garment. He failed to talk about how that entire passage of scripture is chastising men who were abusing and discarding their wives in favor of marrying others. He didn't mention that God is a defender of the oppressed and that Jesus came to set captives free. There is nothing godly about enduring abuse. There's nothing Christ-like about being someone's emotional punching bag. There is nothing holy about staying in a relationship that you were tricked into that is now destroying your soul. God created marriage, and he created it to be a safe place of mutual love and respect, not a prison of fear and confusion. That is not a marriage. If your marriage is a prison of fear and confusion, then you are not in a marriage that God talks about. Anything less than mutual love and respect is not a Christian marriage. I believe it's legalized abuse and rape. I want you to hear this. Your value to God doesn't depend on your marital status. Your worth isn't measured by how much suffering you can endure. And your obedience to God never requires you to subject yourself to ongoing harm. In fact, sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is to remove yourself from a destructive situation, not out of revenge or bitterness, but out of wisdom and self-care. Remember this: Jesus came to give you life, and life abundantly, not a lifetime sentence of misery and confusion. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I see it now, but what do I do with all this? I say start small. Just start journaling the patterns, not your feelings again. You can journal your feelings if you want to, but mainly I want you to journal his behaviors and what happens, the actual incident that happens, the actual things that were said. Then also say it out loud. Tell someone, tell a friend, tell yourself in your mirror, tell a counselor. Maybe not a Christian biblical counselor, because sometimes they will they'll re-abuse you and re-traumatize you. Tell a skilled therapist, okay, that works with people who have gone through trauma. Talk to God about it. Read books by survivors and advocates. I know a really good book written by someone. Her name rhymes with Natalie Hoffman. Check that one out. Find a community that sees you, a community like Flying Free. And when that question comes up again, as it will, is it really abuse? I want you to try answering it this way. What if I believed myself? The road ahead is not easy. I won't pretend it is, but it is possible. I have walked with hundreds, thousands really, of women through this journey, and I have watched them move from confusion to clarity and from fear to freedom. Okay, it looks like some people can't hear. Can you guys hear? Why don't you let me know if the rest of you can still hear me? If you can't hear, it might be something to do with your internet or your device. But I just need to hear. If everyone can't hear, then we need to figure it out. So let me know if you can hear. All right. Other people can hear. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm going to transition into the next part of this workshop because I'm guessing that some of you listening are wondering how in the world you could ever go from being stuck and feel, okay, thank you. Everyone's like, I can hear. You're wondering how you can go from being stuck and feeling confused and helpless and hopeless and frustrated and all of the things to feeling confident, clear, and compassionate toward yourself and your future. And that's what I want to talk about next, because that is my specialty. That is what I've been helping women do for many years now. And the resources that I have for you, they work. So if you're ready to reconnect with your little me and offer her the hope and healing she needs inside of you that will change your life, this is how we tap into the Holy Spirit within us, who already loves and honors our core self. We can learn how to align ourselves with our Creator in nurturing and caring for and healing our little me. But how do we do this? Well, we got to change the way we think. Romans 12:2 says, don't follow the behavior and customs of this world. And ladies, the behavior and customs of this world are rampant in our churches. They are teaching power over theology. That is a satanic worldly theology. That is the exact opposite of what Jesus Christ came to teach. So we need to not follow that, but let God transform you into a new person. How? By changing the way you think. We need to change what we are believing. That means we're going to need to reprogram ourselves from the programming that has been downloaded into us since we were children. Then you will know God's will for you. Not before, but when you change your thinking, you will know God's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. Emotional abuse creates a distorted reality that murders the identity of its victims. There are 3 important things that we can do to turn that around. Number 1, we need to change our programming. That's what that verse said. We need to change the way we think. Number 2, We need to learn how to process our emotions instead of running away from them, denying them, hiding them, shaming ourselves for them. And finally, 3, we need to learn how to show up as our true self, not as some version of ourselves that we think that we're supposed to show to the rest of our church friends. And this is how we fly free. Now look at this little slide. This is a picture, a cute little cartoon picture of the journey. And at the very bottom of the image, you can see a branch with a little butterfly egg sitting on it. This is you and me. We were all given a life full of potential in the image of our Creator God. And this little egg kind of represents what happens when we're programmed with lies about our identity and who we were created to be. We're like this little egg waiting to wake up, waiting to be born into the truth. And then one day, look at number 2, we wake up to the reality of our situation. It dawns on us that we have been living in a lie, and that lie has stripped us of our identity. Now, sometimes this is a bit of a shock. Maybe tonight is the first time you've realized this truth. Suddenly, we are not sleeping. We no longer have the luxury of living in denial and spiritually bypassing and pretending or sweeping issues under the rug, because we are wide awake and we can't go back into our little egg anymore. We can't unsee what we have seen. We are a brand new awakening life, ready to learn and grow. And that is exactly what happens next. Number 3, just like a tiny caterpillar begins to consume the leaves around her, so we begin to learn all we can about what is really going on in our lives. We might watch videos like this, read social media posts, read books, listen to podcasts like the Flying Free podcast, take classes like I offer inside of Flying Free Kaleidoscope, or join a program like the Flying Free Kaleidoscope. Everything is so new and we just can't get enough. We feel seen for the first time. We feel validated. We are believed, and we eat it all up. And then number 4, we begin to shed the skin of our old beliefs. Beliefs that kept us caged and tormented. Beliefs that kept us stuck in a never-ending cycle of abuse. It hurts to let go of our old programming. But you know what? We can't help it at this stage. We are expanding. And our new expansion bursts forth and leaves the flakes of our old life and our old beliefs behind. We feel a growing hope in the possibility of our worth and our true identity. It seems far off and it looks so different from how we look right now, but we can't help but hope and wonder, could it be true? Was I made to fly? So number 5, we get to a place where our old life holds nothing for us anymore. We can't see going back. We have no idea what the future holds or if anything will ever work again. But we also know that going back isn't an option anymore. There is nothing to be done for it but completely blow it up. And that is what happens in step 6. We wrap ourselves up in a chrysalis of love, and we dissolve into a tiny packet of goo. We no longer have our identity in our caterpillar life. And yet we also do not have our identity as our full self in full color either. We are just goo. This is the dark night of the soul. This is the loss, the grief. But this is also the great transformation. This is where it all happens. This is our becoming. And number 7, now we are a new creation. We think differently, we feel differently, we see things differently, and all of this inner transformation leads to 8, our rebirth. We struggle to emerge from our past, to shake off the chains of our captivity. We are no longer a caterpillar with potential. We are no longer goo. We are who we were always meant to be. Nobody can do this for us. Not your pastor, not your husband, not your family of origin, not your friends, not an advocate, not your therapist. This is a gift that you will give to yourself. A gift that you will partner with the Holy Spirit, the giver of life, to give to yourself. We rest and our wings dry out. Blood begins to pump from our body to the very tips of our wings. We are preparing for our next adventure. We are getting ready for our future. With our new way of seeing and thinking and feeling, we are now able to take flight. We are capable of making our own decisions. We are wise and we are strong. We are finally free. So, where are you in this cycle? Maybe you're in 2 or 3 different places right now. Maybe parts of you are in one stage and other parts of you are in another stage. Maybe you are undergoing 2 or more transformations at a time in different areas of your life. Because we can go through this in our parenting, in our relationship with our husband, in our relationship with God, in our relationship with our family of origin. We're going to go through this cycle actually over and over again as we grow, mature, and evolve into each new version of ourselves. And this is the work I do with Christian women. I think of myself as a butterfly doula, helping women walk this transformational process as they need to and supporting them along the way. 8 years ago, I started a community of Christian women in emotionally destructive relationships, and that community has grown into a safe place where everyone belongs and is loved. Did you know that a flock of butterflies is called a kaleidoscope? So picture hundreds of butterflies, each one unique and gorgeous and graceful, as they take their place in the open sky, flying free. That is how I see our community. Now, some of you are already part of Flying Free, and if you are, I'd love for you to drop in the chat box what Flying Free has meant to you so that those who are not part of Flying Free can see what some of you have to say. It's one thing for me to say, oh, it's great, I can help you, your life will change. But it's a whole nother thing to hear hundreds of other people say that. Now, we don't have hundreds of people here, but I do have hundreds and hundreds and literally hundreds of reviews over the past 8 years, like ranting and raving reviews. Because when people's lives change, they want to spread the word. They want to tell other people. They want other people to experience that as well. All right, for the rest of you, if you're not in Flying Free, you've never been in Flying Free, if you want to stick around, I will give you a little tour of our Kaleidoscope community so you can visualize what it's like on the inside and what's possible for you. And then when I'm done with our little tour, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about, I'll show you what the process is to join through pictures. I'm going to do another little presentation. It doesn't take very long. And then I'll tell you a special offer that I have for you if you want to join. Okay. And I only do these little things on nights that I have workshops. And I only do these workshops about once every 3 or 4 or 5 months. All right. So here we go. I'm going to stop my share. Hello. All right. Actually, oh, you know what? I actually need to share. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just share a different screen, I think. Hold on a second here. I'm going to share again because I'm just going to share a different screen. Hold on a second, though. I got to set it up. I'm going to share this screen instead. Okay, can you guys see this? Nope, you can't. Hold on. You know what? I think I'm going to have to, hold on a second. I think I'm going to have to stop sharing. I think I'm sharing the wrong thing. Hold on a minute. All right, now I'm going to share again. Okay. All right, can you see that? You can see, okay. So anyway, this is the kaleidoscope. Oh, it's asking me to join the live stream. That's funny. This is what the kaleidoscope looks like. And actually, you guys all have access to part of it. You've already made an account here. And you have access to this thing right here, this little space. But did you know, I don't know if you can see there's a whole bunch of other spaces here. And when you join, we have this new member hub right here, and there's the facts are all here. The new member hub looks like this. It tells you how to get started, and you'll get emails that will walk you through each step as well. It gives you direct links. There's the Kaleidoscope tour video. And then also, these are all the different facts. Tour the Kaleidoscope, how to stay safe, what are the guidelines, how do I manage my notifications, because you can download an app or you can use a browser on your phone. How do I cancel or update my payment or contact info? How do I switch to another program? How do I switch from monthly to annual? How do I connect with this Kaleidoscope team? Here's is there a picture of the team on here? Yeah, here's the team. These are the coaches we have coaches inside. They're volunteers. They all have their own practices, but they volunteer to answer questions for people inside of the Kaleidoscope. All right, so that's our new member hub. And then there's a course. Our course looks like this. Now this is my admin. Here, I'll show you what it looks like for members. Looks like this, and you can mark the lessons done when you're finished. And then we have, okay, see where my little cursor is going up and down? All of these areas where you see a little computer icon, those are all courses or libraries, basically, of information. So like this one is coaching replays. So it's going to be a library of coaching replays that you can listen to. And you can pick coaching. You can pick coaching by topic. So if you're struggling with boundaries and you want to hear coaching on boundaries, you click that, and all the coachings replays that have me coaching on the subject of boundaries will come up here. And then if you scroll down, there's different areas in the Kaleidoscope based on topic. So this one, for example, is all about emotional abuse. And in this area of the Kaleidoscope, we have 3 courses. See the 3 little computers there? Dysfunctional relationships, boundaries, and detach and detox. And then we also have 3 chat spaces: unraveling the abuse dynamic, toxic text interpretations, and growing while staying. We've got a healing yourself section with 4 courses and several discussion places. We have a healing spiritually section with 4 courses and 3 discussion spaces. We have a parenting section with a course and a parenting discussion. We have a divorce section. So if you are thinking about getting divorced in the near future or even down the road, this course is a must course to go through. It will educate you all about divorce and help you get preparing for divorce course. And then there is a discussion thread about separation and one about divorce. And then we've got some, if you want to connect locally, you can request to be put in one of our local areas. And then the rest of this is not applicable. So anyway, that is just a little bit, that's just a little tour there. Here, let me come back to you guys. All right. Now I'm going to go back to, I'm going to share something different now. Sorry, this is clunky. Okay. Okay, so therapy. Therapy is something that can be very helpful for many survivors, okay? However, it can be expensive, especially if your insurance doesn't cover it. It can run anywhere between, $100 to $200 a session and more. And you get 1 hour of someone's time. But if you consider that for $290, you will get 1 entire year's worth of help in Flying Free, 24/7. And if you don't have $290 up front, you can pay by the month. It's only $29 a month. That's it. I have not raised prices in many years, and I am committed to keeping it affordable so that we can help as many women as possible. Now, if you still can't join because of money, then I encourage you to see if someone you know will sponsor you. We have lots of people who are in the program because a friend or a family member, or maybe sometimes even a church will sponsor a woman. Not very often, but sometimes. I have promised everyone, this is my promise to everyone that joins, if they do the work. I can't make this promise to the ones who don't do the work. There are women who come in and they don't do anything with it. They don't go through any of the courses. They do nothing. And I make no promises for them. But if you join, that within 3 months or less, as you participate in the program, you will begin to feel better in your mind and body. You will begin to experience a growing confidence in who you are and your worth and your value. You will be clearer about what is going on in your life, and you'll have guidance and practical steps that you can take to begin to make the changes that you want to make. You will feel connected, seen, heard, and helped. And I over deliver. My entire team of coaches over delivers. You will find a community where you belong and where you will be supported. But you don't have to just take my word for it. If you look in the chat box, there are so many people that are posting their experiences in Flying Free. And like I mentioned, we've got hundreds and hundreds of reviews from people over the years. I put a bunch of them on our information page. If you go to joinflyingfree.com, you can read a bunch of them, but I could literally fill a book with them. Here's one I just read this week. I want you to know that I'm very impressed with this program. I love the organization, the thoroughness of the topics, the way it's easily navigable. My brain went offline there. I don't even know how to say that word. The extra resource links and the absolute gold in the content. The person running this doesn't know how to talk, but otherwise it's really good. Just kidding. All right. I'm drinking it in like water from a fire hose, letting the Holy Spirit do what he wants to in me and transform me by renewing my mind. I've been so impressed and moved by this content that I've been telling others about it and how much it's helping me. And here's some more. I am floored. I'll just read 3 more. Okay. I'm floored by how much growth I've experienced in such a short period of time. I tell my mom every day what I'm learning, and she is learning from what I'm sharing too. I cannot believe the wealth in this program and all that is offered with the unbelievable monthly price. I am beyond grateful for this program. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. You are absolutely changing lives. Everything in this program is so organized and set up in such an efficient format. I absolutely love everything from the coaching to the courses to the workshops to the forum. If I feel so much growth and difference in a matter of 2 weeks, where will I be in 2 months? So this is a person who'd only been in there for 2 weeks. Here's another one. I've spent the last year working this program. I cannot thank you enough for creating this space and giving us access to so much information and tools and walking alongside us in the mud of it all. When I first started, I remember you saying, and I've heard you say it many times since, if you do the work in the program, I promise you, you won't be the same in a year. Admittedly, I kind of doubted those words because I was living without hope. But today, I can say that you are 100% right. And then finally, I was afraid if I joined Flying Free, I wouldn't do the work. I wouldn't be brave enough to use the forum and that I wouldn't gain from group sessions. How wrong I was. I learned something from every session I can relate to. I have found that the forum is very encouraging and everyone meets me where I am, not where they think I should be. The learning modules have been so helpful in my thinking that I'm using it with my children. Learning how to identify the feelings, the lies, and the truth makes a huge difference. I love the coaching too. The best part, I can afford it. This has been a positive step forward when I was doing nothing outside of reading before. All right. So if you're interested in joining, here's what it's going to look like. You're going to go to joinflyingfree.com and click on the Join Today button. Looks like this. Look at my nice red YouTube arrow nose. Then it's going to take you to this little thing on the page where you can join as a monthly member or an annual member. Actually, it doesn't matter which one you click. Whichever one you click, it's going to take you here. Oh, actually, no. Not here. I wanted to mention this. If you join as an annual member, here's the perks. You get 2 months for free. But you also get a digital PDF download of my book, Is It Me Making Sense of Your Confusing Marriage, and the companion workbook. Now, if you buy these on Amazon in hard copies, I think the book is like $14 and the workbook is $20. But I don't sell, and I do sell the book on Kindle, because I know some people want to keep, it secret that they're reading this book. But the workbook is not on Kindle because it's a workbook. So but you will get the only way you can get the digital copy of the workbook is doing this, joining for a year. And yeah, I don't sell a digital copy of the workbook, but all right. Then okay, so let me go back to, all right, so when you click on one of these two, it doesn't matter which one you click on, both of those clicks are going to take you to what looks like this. This is a checkout page. It looks probably exactly like the checkout page that you saw when you bought for those of you who just paid $1 to come to this workshop, this is the checkout page. And when you paid that $1, you created an account. You already have an account with us. So it's going to be easy to just, if you're watching this, you're already even logged into the account. So all you have to do is just come over here and click on either the monthly subscription or the annual subscription, and voila, you're in. It's going to take you to this page that says, welcome to the Flying Free Kaleidoscope. And there's going to be confetti that falls down. Don't worry, it won't fall down on you. It's just on the computer. And then you're going to get two emails. One is an email that comes from the Kaleidoscope that basically says, welcome to our Kaleidoscope, take the tour. But then the other email is going to look like this. It's going to the subject line is going to say, important, you're in, do this next. And this is very important that you open up this email, read what it says, and do what it says. Also, as a member, you will have access to our private podcast where you can listen to weekly coaching and monthly Q&A sessions on your favorite podcast app. You can binge listen to coaching. That's what I don't know how many people have told me this, that they just log into the app and binge listen to all of the coaching episodes. It will change your life. It really will. People listen to it when they're walking, when they're doing dishes, when they're doing laundry, when they're getting ready in the morning, when they're getting ready for bed at night. This is a good way of reprogramming your brain. So to join, you go to joinflyingfree.com and just follow those instructions. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to come in and answer questions now. Let me just see. Yeah, I'm going to come in and answer questions now. Actually, let me just look through them. Yes, if you want to try for a month and then you decide after a month you want to do an annual plan, you can, yes, as soon as you switch, you get the books at that time. And in fact, if you join for a month and let's say 2 weeks after you join or even 1 week after you join, you're like, oh, I love this, I want a whole year. You can go into the you go into the checkout page. There in the facts section, there is instructions on how to upgrade. And when you do that or when you switch, it will actually prorate your price. So in other words, if you've been in there for a week, it will recognize that you have 3 weeks to go before your month is done. And it will take that money and it will apply it to an annual subscription. So you're not out any money. It'll just apply. And then your annual subscription will be that much less than $290. Does that make sense? You get a prorate. It'll just prorate it. The Voxer app is available. You can download the Voxer app right now if you want to. I Vox with people all the time, with my daughter and a couple of friends. But what I'll do is I'll give you access to my account, my Voxer name, and you can find anyone that you want to on Voxer who has the Voxer, who likes to Voxer. You can find them. It's kind of a fun thing. If you have a friend, what I love about it is that, how, and you can text too in it. You can text or you can speak. But I love how you can say a lot of things if you're just talking to somebody, and it's better than a phone call, because with a phone call, you have to like set aside some time to have a conversation. But with Voxer, you can do it. You can talk, you can tell your friend something, And then they can answer you when they have time to answer you. Maybe they don't have time right then, but they definitely want to answer you, or they want to hear what you have to say, but they can't answer it right then. They can answer you later. So that's what it'll be like when you Voxer with me on Friday. Now, I won't be keeping everyone's, I will be removing you from my account after Friday, because obviously I can't have people, or I don't know, I don't even know if I can really remove people, but I won't be answering anybody. I can't, this is my private Voxer account. So I'm giving you access. If you Voxer me after Friday, you will not get an answer. All right. So let me just be clear about that. I do have strict boundaries around my personal life, but I am available in the forum all the time. I am in the forum many, many, many times a day answering people's questions. So if you want to personally ask me a question in the forum or send me a private message in the forum, you can do that all the live long day if you want to. Okay. So you do have access to me once you are in Flying Free, just not by Voxer. All right. Does that make sense? All right. Let's see. Are there any other questions that you guys have? I'm just going to read through these. Thank you so much for those of you who are already in Flying Free and you posted little comments about what it's meant to you. I'm just going to scroll up here and see if I can find any other questions that I might have missed while I was giving the presentation. Okay. Oh, for some reason. Oh, you know what? Let me stop sharing, for crying out loud. There we go. What is the code for the $5 month? It is hold on, I gotta scroll to it. It's 042325. Oh, thank you, Debbie. All right. I think that seems to be all the questions. I think we're done. Wow, that's almost exactly an hour. That's amazing. Okay. I'm going to let you go then. I hope you guys all have a great night. I'd love to see you on the inside. And yeah, bye.